Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Springfield Right to Life's first and hopefully only virtual fundraiser of 2020. I want to welcome you. I wish that we were meeting at the Crown Plaza or one of the other fine restaurants or hotels in Springfield, and that we were greeting each other and high-fiving and giving hugs. But we don't have that this year, so we thought we'd try something new, which is a virtual fundraiser. What I'm going to do here in the next 15 or 20 minutes is walk through what we've done in 2020 to bring the message of life to the Springfield, Illinois community. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to go to our webpage, springfieldrtl.org/virtual fundraiser. And there we have a series of videos for you that we've preloaded. There's one on prayer, there's one on friendship, there's one on where the sidewalk leads me in my ministry, there's one on where we're going from the sidewalk within Springfield Right to Life. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope those are helpful to you. I have some good news and I have some bad news. I'm going to start with the bad news because whenever I look at the Springfield community and Illinois in general and what is happening with the life issue, we are constantly facing setbacks in our state capital. We've lost the state capital. It's tragic, but it's true. That being said, we haven't given up. We have moved the battle from the Capitol to the sidewalk. What does that look like? I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Meanwhile, that doesn't mean that we are not encouraging folks like you to register to vote, to support pro-life legislators and other politicians that are pro-life that might be at the city level or the county level, the Congress, or the presidency. We always encourage that. But here at our state capitol, we are just overwhelmed with a lot of anti-life legislation, and that makes me very sad. But I'm hopeful. Here's why I'm hopeful. While the enemy is taking over our capital, we've moved our battle out to the sidewalk. Every Thursday, for example, friends are out here praying, and that's what Tom Gillespie talks about in his video. Every Thursday, Betty and Kate come out and they counsel young women and men who are making the decision to abort their child. We have activities out on the sidewalk where we ask people like Pastor Don Mays and Lily Mays to come out and share God's message of hope with our community. We are taking steps to bring people like Laura Colantino into Springfield Right to Life to make abortion a non-issue within Springfield by doing what? By just talking about it? By screaming at buildings? No. It's by action. It's by methodology. It's by support. We are going to launch a sonogram program that reaches out to those folks who are seeking abortion. We want them to be able to see that child. We want them to be able to see that child before they get to Planned Parenthood. We want them to be able to see that child before they make the decision to abort their child. And that takes you. We need your support. We need your help. We need your giving. We need your prayers. And frankly, we need you to fast. You can look at me and you can tell, Tim, if anybody needs to fast, it's you. And you know what? You're right. I've got my COVID-15 just like everybody else I know. and that's okay. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. So we're going to move that battle, like I said, and here's what we're going to do. Tonight, when you look at those other videos, especially Laura's, you're going to see that we have a sonogram machine. Because last year at the fundraiser, you asked us to get a sonogram machine. And you know what else? In order to launch that, we had to do all kinds of renovations to the building. So I invite you, come to the building, check it out. It's beautiful. You can see behind me lots of painting and beautiful pictures, and I'm not in charge of that, and that's a good thing. Last weekend, a crew of about 40 people built a phenomenal ramp so that we can be open to the public. We had to make that happen before we could launch anything. We are making steps to hire marketing experts so that we can target the audience we need to talk about the sonogram program. So here's what I want to do in the next few minutes. I want to talk about prayer, I want to talk about action, and I want to talk about giving. When you watch Tom's video, he kind of tells you why he's out here praying every Thursday, and he'll invite you to come and pray with us on Thursdays. I invite you to do so likewise. You don't have to just come out on Thursdays, though. You can come out any day of the week. That sidewalk is available. Laura will be here in the office, and you can come and get comfortable and go out on the sidewalk and pray. But if you ask Tom, why are you praying? He's going to say, you know, a friend asked me to come out and pray, so that's why I'm praying. Or you could ask Pat, who's out here every Thursday. Pat's 87, and Pat says, I'm praying because that's what I can do. You can ask my friend Phil, why do you pray? And Phil will tell you, I'm praying because on that baby's worst day and that mom's worst day, somebody needs to be out here praying for them. You can ask my friend Greg, why are you praying? And Greg, he'll probably give you a smart aleck answer like, well, I owed Tim $5, and so he said that if I came out here 500 times over the next year, that I would reduce his debt by a penny at a time. And that's pretty accurate. You might ask Nick while he's praying, and he'll tell you he's praying because he and his wife are expecting their first baby, and they'd like to see all children be welcomed into a family. Judith will tell you she's out here praying because Judith had an abortion, and she's going to tell you about that. You might ask Anne Marie why she's praying, and she'll tell you that's just part of her weekly activity. She brings her children, ever since they've been this big, out to the sidewalk and they pray. I'm going to invite you right now. I want you to pray. Come out to the sidewalk and pray with us. You can be as visible as you want or as quiet as you want. You can be out in the sun in the rain or under an umbrella and in the shade. We've got it all. And then come in, have a glass of water or a cup of coffee, and tell us about your experience. I am going to challenge you, though. Prayer and fasting are what will end abortion in Springfield. God picked Gideon and his soldiers not because they were the ablest of the warriors of Israel. It's important to realize that God will end the abortion in Springfield, not us. We're his instruments, and we certainly want to be that. So I would beg you to fast as part of a way to strengthen yourself in prayer. It's very powerful. When that belly's grumbling, that's a good time to pray. And you may not be able to come out to the sidewalk because, like my mom, you're in bed and you're stuck there for, in her case, the rest of her life. And other friends who are wheelchair bound, they can't come out for whatever reason, or you're just stuck at work. Please pray, especially on Thursdays. So I invite you to pray. Last thing I want to ask you is, in the fall here, Laura will put on our website that we're going to have a shadow prayer vigil. We're not doing 40 Days for Life this fall because of COVID. There's been some issues with that organization, and while we respect them and honor them greatly, we felt it was better to simply have our own 40-day vigil, and Laura will put more about that on our website. Next thing I want to talk about is action. Prayer is action. Fasting is action. But I think it's important as we turn the capital over to the enemy that you meanwhile do some things. Like Batman, you put your belt on and you have certain tools in there. What does that mean? Registering to vote, showing up at pro-life rallies, calling your legislators. And again, it doesn't matter if they're at the city council level or on the school board or at the state legislators. The governor, he loves phone calls, I heard. Call him. Tell him what you think about abortion. We will continually update our site and add legislative activity that's going on, especially as we move into the veto session and at the beginning of 2021 when there will be new legislation introduced. It won't surprise me at all if they introduce a measure for doctor-assisted suicide. We can't forget about our elderly. We can't forget about our folks who have some kinds of disability. We always talk about helping that mom and that baby, but we can't forget about others in our population that are vulnerable. So now let me talk about one other aspect of action. What does a sonogram program look like? How do we end abortion in Springfield? When we reach out to the community and we say, come in, talk to us, get a pregnancy test, have a sonogram, learn about what's going on inside your body, get some counseling from a professional counselor, that's action. And our enemy doesn't understand that. What they try to do, they try to do it at the government level. We are going to reach out to the individual person-to-person level. And we need you to do that. It's very important. In order to make that happen, we need you to help fund us. Now, we've been doing very well in our funding, and we are so thankful for the generosity of folks who've already given tonight. When I walked into the office today, there were 15 envelopes greeting me as I entered the building, and I'm so thankful for you. But we need you to do that either now, virtually, or in the envelope method that we've been doing for years, where you just write us a check and send it in. Some of you are giving us a one-time check, others are given a monthly check. And honestly, we need both. Here's what we're going to do with the money that you send to us. I talked about how we bought a sonogram last year, and we did that. And I talked about how we started a counseling program, and we've done that. But what we need you to support us for tonight is to make sure those programs are ongoing, and then we need to launch the sonogram. What does that look like? We're going to be doing mailers, we're going to be doing in-person meetings, we're going to be doing openings, and we're going to be doing marketing campaigns. We're going to have training sessions for our staff. We have to learn from a sonographer how to do this right. While we won't be a medical facility per se, we need to know how to do a sonogram program right. That takes training, it takes professional development, and that costs money. Several of you have been very generous over the years, and you've given us great gifts. Thinking about one family that gave us this beautiful building. I'm thinking about another family that gave us our brand new fence outside. I'm thinking of another family that helped us redo the whole exterior of the building. that generosity is so appreciated. But I can't do that. But you know what I can do? I can give a monthly amount. $10 a month, $50 a month. I can do a one-time gift of a couple $100. Normally, when we sit down to have dinner together, that plate of, it's probably chicken if I remember right, costs about $26.50. You could send us $26.50, and I promise you our treasurer will get $50 out of that $26. Or you could do what a lot of people do is they say, you know what, I believe in tithing, so I'm going to think about this in reverse. I'm going to think about that meal as my 10%, and I'm going to give 90% back to God. So you could give us, what would that be? Let's just call it $250 or $260. That would be phenomenal. With your monthly giving, we can get a check from you, or you can sign up for a monthly gift on our website. Or just call our office, 217-523-2700, and Laura will take down your information for you. Come by the office and visit. I want to talk about a couple of events that are coming up. If you can come out to these, it would be really helpful. As you come out to the sidewalk, sometimes that's a little bit scary, a little bit unnerving. And these events are the kind that you want to come to because they'll give you a good feel and a good sense for what would it be like here on a Thursday. On September the 12th, we have a memorial for the unborn. That's going to be from 11 to 12 o'clock right here at Springfield Right to Life, 519 North Bruns. It'll be a very solemn, inspiring session. Pastor Mike Bear is going to be our keynote speaker, and I'm going to be your MC. But come anyway. And then on Sunday, September the 4th, from 2 to about 3:30, we're going to come out to the sidewalk and we're going to gather and we're going to pray quietly. That's called Life Chain. These two events are being done nationwide, and we'll have links to those events on our webpage. I encourage you to come out to those. You'll get to meet some fun people. You'll get to have some cookies and probably iced tea, and you'll get a sense for what it's like getting out on the sidewalk. So I ask you to do that. We always have events every year like the rally at the state capitol. We don't know what that's going to look like in 2021. We ask you to come out to those. In the COVID environment, it might look completely different. Just be patient. I think we'll have a lot of fun regardless. I want to thank you for watching tonight. We're going to take this video and post it on our webpage and put it out on our YouTube channel. Again, we're not giving up on our capital. We're just moving the battle closer to the front lines. We're taking out of our utility belt those items of prayer and fasting and action, more direct than we ever have before. We're a non-political organization. We don't endorse anybody. We don't have candidates speak to you. We vote pro-life, whether that person is a Republican, a Democrat, an independent. I don't care what they are. If they're voting pro-life, we like them. So at this time, if you haven't done so already, I'd like you to go to springfieldrighttolife.org, springfieldrtl.org/virtual fundraiser, and you'll see many opportunities to donate there. You might decide you want to buy a little baby feet pen. That's great. We'd love to sell that to you. We've got some awesome coffee mugs now. We've got a couple of books that me and Betty Parquette have written. We've got the phenomenal bracelets that Veronica talks about in her video. I want to end with the question, where does the sidewalk lead you? It leads me to make this video for you to help you come out to the sidewalk yourself. It leads me to deeper prayer and fasting. It leads me to giving. It leads me to community. The sidewalk leads me to where God wants me to be. And our Lord often talks about life. He says, I pray that you have life abundantly. And that's what we want. That's where we want the sidewalk to lead us to. Abundant life, abundant faith, and a community that is surrounded in the joy of life. Thank you. I appreciate you watching.